After this, Absalom got a chariot and horses for himself. He had 50 men run in front of him while he drove the chariot. Absalom would get up early and stand near the gate. He would watch for anyone with problems who was going to King David for judgment. Then Absalom would talk to them and say, "What city are you from?" They would say they were from such and such tribe in Israel. Then Absalom would say, "Look, you are right, but King David will not listen to you." Absalom would also say, "Oh, how I wish someone would make me a judge in this country. Then I could help everyone who comes to me with a problem. I would help them get a fair solution to their problem." And if anyone came to Absalom and started to bow down to him, Absalom would treat him like a close friend. He would reach out and touch him and kiss him. Absalom did that to all the Israelites who came to King David for judgment. In this way, Absalom won the hearts of all the people of Israel. After 4 years, Absalom said to King David, "Please let me go to Hebron to complete a special promise that I made to the Lord. I made that promise while I was still living in Jeshurun in Aram. I said, if the Lord brings me back to Jerusalem, I will serve the Lord in a special way." King David said, "Go in peace." Absalom went to Hebron, but he also sent spies to all the tribes of Israel. They told the people, "When you hear the trumpet, say, 'Absalom is king in Hebron.'" Absalom invited 200 men to go with him. They left Jerusalem with him, but they did not know what he was planning. Ahithophel was one of David's advisors. He was from the town of Gilo. While Absalom was offering sacrifices, he invited Ahithophel to join. Absalom's plans were working very well, and more people began to support him. A man came in to tell the news to David. The man said, "The people of Israel are beginning to follow Absalom." Then David said to all of his officers who were still in Jerusalem with him, "Come on, we cannot let him trap us here in Jerusalem. Hurry up, before he catches us. He will destroy us all, and Jerusalem will be destroyed in the battle." The king's officers told him, "We will do whatever you tell us." King David left with everyone in his family, except 10 of his slave women. He left them to take care of the house. The king left with everyone in his house following him on foot. They stopped at the last house. All the king's officers passed by him, and all the Kerethites, all the Pelethites, and the Gittites, 600 men from Gath, passed by the king. The king said to Adai from Gath, "Why are you also going with us? You are a foreigner. This is not your homeland. Go back and stay with the new king. You came to join me only yesterday. You don't need to wander from place to place with me. Take your brothers and go back. Go with my faithful, loving kindness." But Adai answered the king, "As the Lord lives, and as long as you live, I will stay with you, in life or death." David said to Adai, "Then come. Let's go cross Kidron Brook." So Adai from Gath and all of his people and their children crossed over Kidron Brook. All the people were crying loudly. Then King David crossed over Kidron Brook, and all the people went out to the desert. Zadok and all the Levites with him were carrying the box of God's agreement. They set down God's holy box, and Abiathar said prayers until all the people had left Jerusalem. King David said to Zadok, "Take God's holy box back to Jerusalem. If the Lord is pleased with me, he will bring me back and let me see Jerusalem and his temple. But if he says he is not pleased with me, let him do whatever he wants to me." The king said to Zadok the priest, "You are a seer. Go back to the city in peace. Take your son Ahimaaz and Jonathan, the son of Abiathar. I will be waiting near the places where people cross the river into the desert. I will wait there until I hear from you." So Zadok and Abiathar took God's holy box back to Jerusalem and stayed there. David walked up the path to the Mount of Olives. He was crying. His head was covered, and he went without sandals on his feet. All the people with David also covered their heads and were crying as they walked with him. Someone told David, "Ahithophel is one who joined in Absalom's plot against you." Then David prayed, "Lord, I ask you to make Ahithophel give only foolish advice." When David got to the top of the mountain, he bowed down to worship God. Then David noticed Hushai the Archite. Hushai's coat was torn and there was dust on his head. David said to Hushai, If you go with me, you will be just one more person to care for. But if you go back to Jerusalem, you can disagree with Ahithophel and make his advice useless. Tell Absalom, 'King, I am your servant. I served your father, but now I will serve you.' The priests, Zadok and Abiathar, will be with you. You must tell them everything you hear in the king's palace. Zadok's son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan will be with them. You can send them to tell me everything you hear." So David's friend Hushai went back to the city, just as Absalom arrived in Jerusalem. David went a short way over the top of the Mount of Olives and met Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth. Ziba had 2 donkeys with saddles on them. The donkeys also carried 200 loaves of bread, 100 bunches of raisins, 100 summer fruits, and a wineskin full of wine. King David said to Ziba, "What are these things for?" Ziba answered, "The donkeys are for the king's family to ride on. The bread and the summer fruit are for the servants to eat. And the wine is refreshment for whoever begins to feel weak in the desert." Then the king asked, "And where is Mephibosheth?" Ziba answered the king, "Mephibosheth is staying in Jerusalem. He said, 'Today the Israelites will give my father's kingdom back to me.'" Then the king said to Ziba, "All right, I now give you everything that belonged to Mephibosheth." Ziba said, "I bow to you. I pray I will always be able to please you." As David came to Bahurim, a man from Saul's family, Shimei son of Gera, came out cursing David again and again. Shimei began throwing stones at David and his officers. Both the people and the soldiers gathered around David to protect him. They were all around him. Shimei cursed David. He said, Get out, you no-good murderer! The Lord is punishing you because you killed people in Saul's family. You stole Saul's place as king, but now the same bad things are happening to you. The Lord has given the kingdom to your son Absalom because you are a murderer." Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dying dog curse you, my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off Shimei's head." But the king answered, "What can I do, sons of Zeruiah?" "Yes, Shimei is cursing me, but the Lord told him to curse me. And who can ask him why he did that?" David also said to Abishai and all his servants, "Look, my very own son is trying to kill me, so why shouldn't this man from the tribe of Benjamin want to do the same? Leave him alone. Let him continue to curse me. The Lord told him to do this. Maybe the Lord will see the wrong things that are happening to me and give me something good for every bad thing that Shimei says today." So David and his men went on their way down the road. Shimei kept following David. He walked on the other side of the road by the side of the hill. He kept cursing David on his way. Shimei also threw stones and dirt at David. King David and all his people came to the Jordan River. They were tired, so they rested and refreshed themselves there. Meanwhile, Absalom, Ahithophel, and all the Israelites came to Jerusalem. David's friend Hushai the Archite came to Absalom and told him, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Absalom answered, "Why are you not loyal to your friend David? Why did you not leave Jerusalem with your friend?" Hushai said, "I belong to the one that the Lord chooses. These people and the people of Israel chose you. I will stay with you. In the past, I served your father, so now I will serve you, David's son." Absalom said to Ahithophel, "Please tell us what we should do." Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Your father left some of his slave women here to take care of the house. Go and have sexual relations with them. Then all the Israelites will hear how you humiliated your father, and they will be encouraged to give you more support." Then they put up a tent for Absalom up on the roof of the house. Absalom had sexual relations with his father's wives, so that all the Israelites could see what happened. So in those days, Ahithophel's advice was very important. Both David and Absalom accepted his advice as though it were the word from God. Ahithophel also said to Absalom, "Now, let me choose 12,000 men to chase David tonight. I will catch him while he is tired and weak. I will frighten him, and all his people will run away. But I will kill only King David. Then I will bring all the people back to you. If David is dead, all the people will come back in peace." This plan seemed good to Absalom and all the leaders of Israel. But Absalom said, "Now call Hushai the Archite. I also want to hear what he says." Hushai came to Absalom. Absalom said to Hushai, "This is the plan Ahithophel gave. Should we follow it? If not, tell us." Hushai said to Absalom, "Ahithophel's advice is not good this time." Hushai added, "You know that your father and his men are strong men. They are as dangerous as a wild bear when something has taken its cubs. Your father is a skilled fighter. He will not stay all night with the people. He is probably already hiding in a cave or some other place. If your father attacks your men first, people will hear the news and think, 'Absalom's followers are losing.' Then even your bravest men will be frightened, because all the Israelites know that your father is a powerful soldier and that his men are very brave. This is what I suggest. You must gather all the Israelites together from Dan to Beersheba. Then there will be many people, like the sand by the sea. Then you yourself must go into the battle. We will catch David wherever he is hiding and attack him with so many soldiers that they will be like the dew that covers the ground. We will kill David and all of his men. No one will be left alive. But if David escapes into a city, all the Israelites can bring ropes to that city and pull its walls down into the valley. Not even a small stone will be left in that city." Absalom and all the Israelites said, "Hushai's advice is better than Ahithophel's." Actually, Ahithophel's advice was good, but they said this because the Lord had decided to make Ahithophel's advice useless. He did this to punish Absalom.